It's a lot about just great conversations with movers and shakers in the industry that people get to know a little bit better. And I absolutely love doing it. It's like so you can start a podcast for very little, and it's a great way to get yourself out there.
In today's episode of My Podcast Story, we have Daniel Nestle, the Chief Curiosity Officer of Inquisitive Communications and the host of the Trending Communicator podcast. Daniel is an award-winning strategic communication executive recognized as one of the top 25 movers and shakers in communications technology by PRO Week magazine for both 2023 and 2024. His podcast dives deep into the evolving challenges faced by PRO, communications, and marketing professionals, featuring insightful conversations with industry experts on topics like reputation management and the impact of generative AI. With over 2 decades of experience, including 16 years in Japan, Daniel brings a unique international perspective to his work. He's here to share his inspiring journey on how he built his show from the ground up and how he leveraged curiosity to drive innovation in the communications landscape. Tell us your name, the name of your podcast, and what your podcast is all about.
Sure. My name is Dan Nestle. My podcast is The Trending Communicator, and it is a conversational podcast where I feature a guest who is a high achiever or a successful person in the PR and communications world, and sometimes marketing world as well. And we talk about the future of PR, the future of marketing, the future in general, the intersection of technology and work, and the intersection of technology and PR and communications. A lot of AI, but it's really, I think, a lot like your show, Wisdom. It's a lot about just great conversations with movers and shakers in the industry that people get to know a little bit better. And I absolutely love doing it. It's like it's my labor of love.
How long have you been doing this show for?
So I started podcasting, I guess, just around the start of the pandemic, really, like I think a lot of people
Yeah.
did. And initially, I mean, I had been wanting to do a podcast for years. I thought that it would be a really great creative outlet for me, and I need to have a creative outlet. So when I first started, I just launched as the Dan Nestle Show. It's just me, my name, and I didn't have a real focus on any particular industry or type of guest. Just I wanted to talk to interesting people, and I had a pretty good network of friends and of professional people that I knew. And for the first couple of years, I was, doing almost the same thing I'm doing now. Hour-long interviews with interesting people, find out about their thoughts about their business or about their life, and about advice that they would give to people who are starting in whatever their field was. A lot of people who are in coaching, a lot of people who are solopreneurs and entrepreneurs. But during that time, I just gradually figured out that my professional career in parallel was all about communications and marketing, and it just made more sense for me moving forward to just start thinking more clearly about what my brand is, what's my personal brand. And of course, Dan Nestle, that's my name, that is my brand, but it doesn't tell anything to listeners. It doesn't give any hint about what the show is about. So I went on this kind of personal journey over those years, just trying to understand what I could offer of value to the world or to my profession. And I just kind of realized that, what, I really love technology. I love PR and communications. I think that our profession is kind of at the edge of either wild success or terrible failure, partly because of AI and other things. So, I want to be one of the people who helps guide them into the future. So I just kept narrowing it down and just thinking, what, I'm a communicator, and let me just lean into that. And that's how I sort of eventually landed on the Trending Communicator as my show, and it's been great. I'm 2 years, almost, no, not even 2 years, about a year and a half into the rebranded Trending Communicator, just over 30 episodes. So It's going super well.
Oh, okay, okay. Um,
Hmm.
okay, the idea for the podcast came in around the COVID period, and you
Yeah.
started. When did you actually like start the podcast itself? So like, I know how old is the podcast?
Oh, I think the first episode was oh gosh, wait, was it? That's a really good question.
Yeah, I mean,
I
you could
think
check
it
the podcast now if yeah, you can check
yeah,
it.
it was like I'll check it. It was like it was either early 2021 or very late 2020. Um, Give me just a moment. I'll find it and I will tell you because I should know that answer. It's funny when you do this for so long, it's like it just becomes a just like a thing that you do and you lose track of time, especially if you like what you're
Yeah,
doing. It's very easy to lose track of time. And if I go back to the very first episode, oh wow, it was well before that. It was the first episode. Wow, was it was in 2020. Um, yeah, in the like summertime of 2020. So like April May time of 2020. So it's I've been going for 5 years.
wow. I think that calls for a
Hmm.
celebration. That's a long time.
Thank you.
Wow, congrats
Yeah,
on that.
just like it's really amazing. I'm just I'm looking through and I'm like all of my old guests. I'm like, oh yeah, I interviewed those people.
Yeah,
you know, it's like when you start a show, the first people you bring on, you're trying to figure out how you can talk and what
yeah.
you're good at, and you're using Zoom or you're just trying to
Test the
figure
softwares,
stuff out.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like some of them are like people in my neighborhood, who I know, like Scott, come here, you're going to be on the
Yeah.
podcast. So really interesting, very very fascinating kind of you know journey. And I used to I used to make it a point, like every time I released a new episode, I would tag everybody, all my previous guests, like, hey, my previous guests. But now I need like an email list, which is really, I mean, it's a great problem to have. But so many of my earlier guests, I owe them so much. They were just, you know,
Yeah.
they took a risk just as much as I did.
Exactly. Well, is your
Hmm.
podcast audio only or audio and video?
Yeah, it's audio only at this time, but I keep putting off getting into video. Are we on video, by the way? Are we doing both?
Yeah, yeah, we're doing both.
Or are we audio? Yeah. Okay, that's good. I don't mind either way. No, I know that video is so critical, I think, to taking my podcast to the next
Yeah.
level. And I'm comfortable with it, but I keep thinking that my guests, you know, that's a whole nother thing that I have to talk to my guests about. But nowadays, I don't think it would be a problem. So pretty soon, I will start uploading video from my show, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like,
strange how you
yeah.
mentioned that because all through all the guests I've had so far, they like they just hop on. I tell them it's video, like they don't have any issue with it being on video and all that. Like they come prepared, expecting to be
Mhm.
video, and yeah, so that's the
You know, I think when we first started, like back in whatever it was, 2020, it was much less common to be on video at the same time. And I mean, people were doing it, but I think, I had a lot of female guests, a lot of women. And especially in those early episodes, I'd talk to them and they'd say, oh, wait, are we on video? And, oh, no, we're just audio only. And they say, oh, thank goodness. Oh, thank goodness. I just, I'm a mess, or my house is a mess, or don't have to worry about, don't have to worry about the background. I'm so much more relaxed without video. And I think that stuck in my head, oh, they don't want video, right?
oh
So,
yeah, I get it. I get
you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
so I kept, I fundamentally in my career, I've always had a service mentality, like Like I'm in PR and marketing, and like I don't. I mean, I lead teams and I've led teams, but fundamentally, I'm there to serve a company or a CEO, right? So there's some degree of you kind of do what the boss says, or you have to pay. You have to kind of make concessions or compromises, and then you know, same thing with my guests. I kind of think of them as people I'm serving, and if they don't want to be on video, I don't want to put them on
Yeah,
video.
exactly.
But that has to change, and that's on me because I just have to tell them, yeah, we're in video and it'll be fine.
Yeah,
I know it'll be fine.
yeah,
I know it will be.
yeah.
I'm saying that to you, but
Yeah, I
mhm.
understand exactly what you mean when you say that, because but I think for me why it's easier is because most of the people that are coming on my podcast, most of them are content creators, and they do this
Mhm.
professionally, so they pretty much have the setup. But if you tell people usually ahead of time, like, oh, it's gonna be a video, the reminder, let's say when they're about to book the time, you tell on the page, oh, it's a
Mhm.
video podcast, please, and
Yeah.
some things, and then the email you send is a video podcast. They're going to pretty much show up with prepared. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, they would nowadays for sure.
exactly. Like,
But it's been an evolution over
yeah,
time,
yeah.
and that's my
I mean,
next
I
step.
mean,
I
what's
know.
what's
I know it
happening is
is.
that the status of 2020 is still stuck in your head, and you're using that to like make
Yeah.
conclusions and judgments for now. It's 5 years, man.
That's right, man. I mean, it's funny on my show, like I, I think there's a lot of not confession, but like I like to be authentic and raw, just kind of it's the real me. I don't pretend to be somebody who I'm
Yeah,
not. So, sometimes I'll talk to guests and they'll turn the tables, they'll start coaching me in the middle of the yeah, in the middle of the
yeah.
podcast. And I've had people tell me that they love that. They love it when I'm suddenly like on the hot seat. And yeah, I kind of enjoy it. Enjoy being getting advice from people. But you're totally right. It's clear as day. You know, it's in my head. Just like when I started the podcast, I I I waited months, maybe even years before I started podcasting. And the real story there is of course I was looking for a way to be creative without writing. I like writing and I'm a good writer, but writing takes the life out of me. Like it's so hard. It's so hard to just write consistently because it's very
Excuse me.
draining. Bless you. But I get
Thank you.
energy when I talk to people, and I think that I could be equally as creative. So anyway, I was thinking for a long time to do it, and I went to this conference, social media marketing world in San Diego in when was it? 2020, right? It was in March of 2020, and I met this guy Cliff Ravenscraft, longtime podcaster, kind of like a professional coach and like so used to helping people get through their problems. And I was talking to him just like on the side of the road in front of the conference, like not even inside the
Yeah.
conference. And he just gave me his time and he said, what are you waiting for? I said, I don't know, man. I'm thinking about, I don't know what to call it. And I'm not sure what the format is. And he just looked at me. He opened these big blue piercing eyes and he goes, you don't need a brand. You are a brand. Just call it the Dan Nestle Show. Just do it. Just turn on a mic, you know, call the Dan Nestle Show. Get out of your own way, and it's gonna be bad at first. Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll be great, but very likely it's not gonna be your best. But it's gonna be something, and then their next one will be better, and then it'll be better and better and better and better. And yeah, I find he helped me. He helped me push me off the cliff. His name was Cliff. He pushed me off a cliff, and then yeah, I owe him so much because I just okay, fine, I'm the Dan Nestle Show, and then that just like that changed everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to listen. So I'm going to listen to you wisdom, like I got to do it.
Yeah.
Just get out of my own way and turn on the
Yeah.
camera for my guest.
The funny thing, the reason why I'm saying that I'm speaking from experience when I say this. I'll give an example. When I started podcasting, like I said, like really serious with podcasting, and I started inviting
Mm-hmm.
guests and interviewing them. the first two interview I did with guests, it was really terrible. I'm from Nigeria, so the daytime network was really bad. It was so bad that,
uh,
like, imagine you're just starting something for the first time, you still try to figure out the tech, and you're having two guests on your podcast, and like, and you're the host, so the expectations is just so high. Like if you're the guest, if stuff goes bad, like okay, yeah, like, oh, what's happening? You just ask, and you're not
yeah.
expected to make sure that everything is working well, and it was really bad. So I was like, okay, should I stop the podcasting? Should I just stick with solo episodes? Or should
Mhm.
I continue? I was like, okay, maybe if I move to audio only. Yeah, I was like, okay, the video is so bad because the bandwidth is very high. Audio, the bandwidth is lesser. And so I started doing audio only and it was better, right? I
Mhm.
was doing audio and
Yeah.
like I did audio for pretty much a long time. Yeah. More like a month. Yeah.
Mhm.
And every time I hear video conferencing or video stuff, there's this what called there's this shock that enters my mind because each time I remember it, I was like, oh. And then later on, I was like, wait. I started asking myself that there are people who do video conferencing and video stuff in my country. I was like, how do I make this work? And then it occurred to me that, okay, what if I do the off-peak hours, which is probably in the night, and which is what I'm
Yeah.
doing right now. And you see,
Yeah.
the network is very good. If you're doing the day, that it would have been pretty terrible. And then
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm not going to do video interview. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to hop on the call and I would meet and greet my guest, and then we'll go back to the audio only.
Mhm.
So we'll turn off our camera after meeting and greeting. And
Yeah.
then when I hopped on with the guest, we greet, and I was like, the video is not so good. I was just saying, and the guest was like, no, no problem, sure, let's do it. Whatever happens, happens. And that was how we recorded the full episode of
Mhm.
video. I was like, okay, yeah, yeah, because this is the fear of the past experience was holding me back from doing what I needed to do.
Yeah.
And I know that there's a
Yeah.
lot of growth potential on YouTube, right? And yeah, so I know there's a lot of growth potential from clips, from putting on YouTube. I know that it's just there. And I wanted to do video, like it was what I wanted to do. Now I'm doing video now. I'm recording a ton of episodes. I'm learning a lot. I'm using the software, which has really been great. And having a conversation on video has been really exciting compared to when I did
Yeah.
audio only. Now I can see you. We can both see ourselves, and
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I like when I have guests on the show. I mean, we're in a video like
yeah.
I so we're in a video conference. I'm talking like I'm seeing them. I'm talking to them.
Oh,
It's just a matter. All I have to do is push a button.
oh,
You push the button and then it's video. So it's always been like face to face
okay.
through a screen, but I just never recorded the
Oh,
video
so
because
it's your
you know what I'm
choice
saying?
now. Oh, it's a thing of choice.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I don't. I wouldn't actually. I probably would never have enjoyed podcasting if like before like video conferencing became dependable because like I remember when I was younger. I mean, a lot of the listeners uh, out there will know, but many of our listeners are probably younger and they can't remember a time when there was a phone stuck on a wall with a wire, right? And like
Ah,
you that's the way you talk to people all the time. And I remember just like I couldn't stand being on a phone for too long, and because after a while you know maybe it's because some people are so attuned to visual cues. Like I have to see the way people's eyes move, the way that they react to things. And then I build off of those reactions.
yeah,
If I don't have those reactions, I think it would be dead air. It would not be as good of a show at all. And it's really important, for you to figure out, for anybody to figure out where their comfort zone is. But for me, I needed to see people.
yeah,
Even now, like I'm comfortable on video, but I would be uncomfortable if I couldn't see you. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
so I don't want to look at myself.
yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah.
but it's interesting how all that works.
Yeah, I guess the thing is we have to move from the known to the unknown. Like we start with the ones we're comfortable with before we
True.
start moving to the things that we are not quite comfortable with. Yeah, and a lot of growth potential on YouTube. And yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you,
Oh yeah. I mean, and that's the other thing. Like, it's just foolish of me, like to just like I'm leaving a lot on the table. Like I
Yeah.
really am. Like I know that I'm leaving a lot. There's so many viewers and visitors who and fans who would come if I had it on video. But at the same time, doing videos can be a pain in the neck, right? I mean, like now, not anymore, because I'm getting to be pretty good with Descript, and it's not that hard
Oh, you use the
to do
script.
different video
Yeah.
tools. Yeah, I use Descript now for some stuff, and but I also you can use most video editing software. I mean, the basic stuff. I'm not going to do crazy cuts, but yeah, I mean, even like CapCut or whatever on desktop is really good. I mean, there's a lot of different things you can use now that you couldn't before, and editing is the easiest thing because I don't. My show is a conversation. I don't have to worry about like I don't have to worry about making crazy edits. So there's a little bit of extra work, and that's been an excuse not to do it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think I can make it happen
Yeah.
finally.
The
After 140 episodes,
the strange
should be
thing
able to
here
do it.
is that you're already doing editing for your audio show. And so what will happen
Hmm.
is that if you basically do the editing for the video, all you just need to do will be to remove the audio and then post it back on. So you basically will still be
Yeah.
doing the same one editing you're doing right now. So it's not, how do I put it now? It's not you know how you know you don't want to do something and then you find reasons to support you not doing that thing. But yet you know
Hmm.
that if you really want to do that thing, those reasons are not good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm an expert at doing exactly that, to finding the thing. It's kind of interesting. I was on a podcast. I mean, I have a podcast, but I really love being on other people's podcasts.
Yeah.
Like I love being on the show. So thank you very much for having me on again. But
My
I
pleasure.
love being on other people's shows. I was in this conversation the other day. Somebody said, "Do you ever refuse to be on a show?"
Mm,
And like when people are asking you, "Would you be on my show? Would you be on my show?" Almost never. I almost never refuse, and it's not because I'll be on any show. It's just because the people who ask me tend to be interested in what I have to say.
yeah.
So, and their audiences are probably really, I don't care about audience size, but I care about people who care about the podcast.
Yeah.
And, I remember how I was. And, you know, the only time I've ever refused is, I've only refused one invite. And it's not like I'm on podcasts all the time, by the way. I'm not like getting calls every single day. Hey, Dan, will you be on a podcast? I wish that was the case. But when I do get calls or get pitches, you know, some of them are just like, yeah, it sounds good. And I use Podmatch, as you know, and Podmatch has put me together with a few pretty good people, and I can choose, which ones I want to be on.
Yeah.
But the only time I think I've refused is when it was like somebody was talking about franchise opportunities or something, which I'm just uncomfortable with that. I can't really. It's not that it's bad. It's just I have nothing to offer. So I would just want to be able to be in a conversation where I have something to offer.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I love the idea of your show. I mean, how'd you come up with this idea? Like where you could like the story behind the podcast is brilliant. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not the first. Like a lot of guests, they've been saying the same thing that, dude, like
Hmm.
this idea, it's just. And I was like, wow, it
It's
appears I'm
great.
doing something good. And yeah,
I think so.
yeah. I mean,
The timing's like it's wonderful. There's so many podcasters out there who are you know I don't know, they're not going to last, or they stop after 10 shows and they're over and whatever. But there's a good large core of people who have done, who've been doing it for several years, like over 50 or 100 shows. You know that they're serious and they're in it. They care about it. And if you can tell their stories, then I think you have a winning formula.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the whole idea is to get to see how the stuff we love is being created, and
Hmm.
yeah, the podcast, and
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully,
Yeah.
yeah, I do have plans, but let's take it one step at a time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
For sure.
Your podcast is 5 years now, and you
Yeah.
had this rough idea when you started your podcast.
Mhm.
And I mean, what were you hoping to get out of your podcast when you started your podcast?
Fame and fortune.
Okay.
No, no, I wasn't. That's a joke. I was, I was just like, I'll tell you, I originally when I first started doing it, you know, like I said, I needed to do something creative, and the podcast seemed to be one of the easier ways to do that. And I wanted to talk to people. So I like talking to people, and it was during the pandemic. A lot of us were all alone for a long time, or just you didn't get a chance to meet new people. This was my way to meet new people. But I think fundamentally, or deep down, I just I just wanted to have my opinions about things heard, like have a platform where I could talk about things that where I could be in control and be in charge and direct a conversation and like be able to express a lot of the thoughts that I was having about my my professional world. And like it's not like I want to be out there and talking about some crazy like political issue or some life and death situation, or so it's not a heavy topic, but I wanted to be kind of heard, right? So that's why I really started doing it. And then I realized, after doing it for a little while, that I was on a path to actually not getting famous, but to get known within my industry, right? To
Yeah.
get known. And there's a difference between being known and being famous. You know, in my mind, especially like just to be known for something is to have that reputation to be able to do something, or to be able to be an expert about something. And long, if you look at the long term for any of us, especially now, I'm not super young anymore. Like, I'm 53 years old. I know I don't look 53, but I'm 53, right? My career is always in somebody else's hands, right? It's not like it's either a company, or a client. How am I going to get free of that? You know, if you're rich, or you make investments or something, that's one thing. But I'm not rich, and I have never been good with investments. You know, I'm doing fine, but I'm not a rich person. I couldn't like. There's no way that I could just like take control of my life completely. So I always had to work for someone, and that's joyful, but it also, after a while, is very suffocating for me. Like I feel like I always feel like I'm being crushed, and there's deep reasons for that. I've learned, but I needed to have this kind of you know way out. So one way that you can start to take control of your career, and it takes a very long time, but is to build your personal brand and to be known for something. So, you know, the podcast was like a runway. And then when I changed it last year to be the Trending Communicator, I did that specifically because I want to be known within my industry and within my profession, but I already am known within my industry and
Yeah.
profession. Like I already had a reputation, but this is something that now I own. It's mine. And then, as time went on, and now especially with AI, now I do it. I do it because I love it, but I do it to be known, to have my to have my reputation, so that people will hire me, or people want to work with me, or people will want me to come and speak. And I also do it because every podcast, every conversation, the one we're having now, is it depends on how long the podcast is, but it's 5,000, 10,000 words, 20,000 words of content, of good content, like of real content, that's why people listen, or that's why people watch, because they want the content. They want to hear what you're saying. Now, of course, I can take that content and use it for other things.
Yeah.
Like if, you know, I now have like all my podcast episodes, everything, all transcripts, all of it. I have it in basically one place. You know, I use AI to pull out ideas and to pull out information. I use it. I'm able to create new things from that start with my podcast or that start with my writing, and that has opened up a completely new future, I think, for me. You know, so the podcast is the core. It's like the center of my content universe, right? That I believe in and that I am happy with. You know, I don't feel like, I never feel like, I have to write another post. I never feel like, oh, I got to do another podcast. I always feel like, okay, another podcast. This is great. You know, it's going to be a wonderful conversation with somebody. I'm going to learn a lot. I'll have the opportunity to probably say a few funny things or
Yeah.
but certainly express and show my expertise in a good, intellectual, honest conversation, and learn, you know, again, learn things, and learn things about my guests, but learn things about what's happening out there in the world, in my world, and all of that becomes amazing content for other things.
Yeah.
So it's a tool in some ways like that. Like and every time I think about it more deeply, there's more reasons to keep doing the podcast.
Yeah.
Like once I go on video, you know, that's going to change things more.
Yeah. And yeah.
See, I'm talking myself into video as right
Yeah.
now. It's going
Yeah.
to happen.
Wow. There's so many reasons, and I just want to interject a bit. Quickly
Mm-hmm.
before I ask the questions I want to ask, I feel that
Yeah.
audio is great. Audio is wonderful. I mean, audio is
Mm-hmm.
audio, right? Video is video.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're both different things,
Yeah.
and it's not like they're competing. But I feel like it's easier and quicker and faster to build trust via video than audio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I think you're totally right.
yeah,
Well, you know what? Maybe there's a kind of range, like a spectrum. Okay. So when you have podcast listeners who have come to you through audio and they keep coming back, they really trust you, right? Like they really that's going the extra mile in some ways. So your audience is pretty hardcore. There's also a psychology behind audio that doesn't really apply to video. When you're watching a video, right? Whether it's on a television or on your computer or on your phone, you know, you have the world around you. You have everything going on. So you're not exactly, you know, you're not like in a particular, you're not that deep in this universe.
I understand.
But when you've got something in your ears, there's a direct sound to brain connection.
Yeah,
And people make these very personal bonds with you. What do they call that? They call it not psychosocial. Oh no, I forgot the word. I'll remember it soon. But there's an effect where people hearing your voice all the time think that you're their friend.
yeah,
Right. And that's why when I started podcasting, people were telling me, look, you know, don't worry about your platform. Don't worry about that. Just get a good mic. Like the only thing, like make sure your mic is good. You know, make sure the sound is crisp and clear, because that's going straight in somebody's ear. And bad audio, or like, you know, substandard audio is like the first thing that people will just like they'll never come back if your audio is always terrible. And you never think about that, but it's true. The audio is the most important part of your track. Now the video though, I mean, the video is engaging, and it's, you know, it gives the listener and the viewer that picture of you. Like I said before, you're seeing somebody's facial expressions, right? You're getting to know them. and you're getting to know them and trust them on a whole new level when it's on video. So that's totally correct. But like, and I think it's certainly for a much broader audience when you do that.
Yeah.
But there's something special about
Yeah.
the that straight into the ear, kind of relationship that you build.
Yeah.
You build with parasocial. It's called a parasocial relationship. That's
Oh,
what's
yeah.
called.
It
Parasocial
looks
relationship.
like really a relationship, but it's a bit different. And usually
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
one-sided. Yeah.
My friend, I have a good friend who's a longtime podcaster. This guy, Rich, his name's Richard Bliss, and Richard had the #1 podcast for board game enthusiasts, right? Like it's a very
Very
focused
niche.
area.
Yeah.
People who played board games, right? And he was, he did this podcast for a long time. So then he goes to he's years into it. He goes into a board game convention. He goes to like a conference, board games, people playing Monopoly, whatever it is. And he's walking around, he's talking to people, and he knows people are starting to follow him around, right? And eventually they're like, "You're Richard Bliss." And they've never seen him before. It's all just about the ear. They've only recognize that voice anywhere. Oh man, we love you. This is great. They're talking to him like he's an old friend, and he's never met them once before in their life. And that happens, I guess, even for people watch on video, I guess. But there's something super powerful about that, and those fans that listeners really, I think, are like in it with you and in it for you. And for your listeners and for you, wisdom, I'm not trying to say I don't need to do video, right? I'm not trying to
You quickly said
justify
that because that was like the question I was about to like hit you with. Well, I'm happy you quickly cleared your name before I asked the question. I mean,
Thank you.
they are tools of the
Yeah, thank you.
trade, and it's not like either video or audio. No, it's more like you can do
Yeah,
all. You can
both.
do both, right? It's like you get your distribution level is higher and
Yeah.
even better. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a must.
Okay. I just wanted you to do a quick rundown of the tools you use and probably how much you spend on your podcast in a
Sure.
month.
Okay. So right now I'm using a Blue Sona microphone.
Okay. Okay.
All right. It's I guess Logitech bought Yeti, or bought Blue, and like Blue. Everybody starts, or many people start with a Blue Yeti. I have one of those. You might see it behind the hat back there. There's a Yeti. So I started off with a Yeti, thinking it was the greatest thing, but then I realized it picks up all the noise everywhere in the world. Then I moved on to a ATX
2100.
2000, I think.
Yeah, 2100.
Yeah, 2100. That's the one, right? I love that mic. Great mic. I still have it somewhere, but I gave it to my daughter because she needed a good mic to she wanted to record her voice for some stuff. So I was like, okay, fine. You can have this one. I'm gonna get a new mic anyway. And I bought this one. I love this mic and the reason I got it is because I wanted to move from USB to XLR.
Oh.
So yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Because I love USB, and it was great to start for sure, but I had one USB cable there was a problem with the cable, and I couldn't figure out why I wasn't getting any good sound or why there was distortion. And it turned out it was a cable.
Yeah.
And sometimes the USB connector is so I decided I'm going to get I wanted to go XLR. They're much more dependable.
Yeah.
So I picked up this XLR mic, but if you have an XLR, you need a mixer, right? You need an amplifier. So I bought, I don't ever intend to have 12, 15 tracks. So I don't need anything big. I don't need a podcast, like a Rodecaster or one of those like $700-800 things. So the microphone, around 250 US, right? I got something called a Vodcaster 2, by
Focus.
it's like $99 US. It's a Vodcaster 2, and it has two inputs. It's really, especially for podcasting, it works super well. And it has a couple controls on here, so I can I could adjust the gain on the fly, or I can play around with my own in-ear volume, and it's got different jacks. But frankly, I just needed the simplest thing so that I could plug in an XLR, right? So that's the base equipment is the Blue Sona mic, the Vodcaster 2, XLR cables. I'm using in-ear monitoring headphones from Shure right now, and I only use these when I'm on video because I generally, I just want people to see me.
Yeah.
But my normal podcasting headphones are the trusty Sony MDR 7506.
Yeah.
These are fantastic.
Yeah.
These are the best. $75, the best. I mean, I've had these for 5 years. I've had to replace the cups, the covering on these, like twice. But I love these. I love these headphones. And people are like, "Why don't you get Bluetooth?" I'm like, "You don't get it. You don't like
No.
people who don't podcast, like people who don't podcast."
Yeah.
So that's the basic package, and and I have like a mic arm from Elgato or something. Yeah.
What about softwares and apps?
Oh yeah. So I generally record through Squadcast.
Okay. Not Descript.
That's my platform. Well, it's interesting. I went with Squadcast originally. I don't know. My choices were like this 5 years ago, right? So my choices were like do it on Zoom, do it on Squadcast, do it on like StreamYard or something like this. And Squadcast seemed to be the exact I liked the fact that it was recording the what is it?
High quality local
High quality WAV files locally.
Yeah.
Now Riverside does the same thing, right? So, and it was before Riverside came out. But I use Squadcast. Since I've been using Squadcast, Descript bought Squadcast, right? So now Squadcast is directly connected, like it's all integrated with Descript. So if I want to, I go edit in Descript. But it's very difficult to break from your habits and your old ways. So my editing, I edit my sound files just using Adobe Audition. And it's it's expensive piece of software when you first get it, but you can get these subscriptions now. And there's it's just 2 voice tracks and a little bit of music. So it's not complicated. So I don't even need Audition. It's probably a lot, but there's a guy out there. Oh shoot, I forgot what it was, but who created presets for Audition. So I didn't have to learn too much about all these different presets. I just bought them and downloaded them, or installed them into Audition. So now Audition has everything preset properly, and I upgrade it every now and then. So I have Audition. I use when I get into video, I will be using Descript and Opus Clip for the cuts. Yeah, man, I think is that everything? It's not. Yeah, I think that's probably it. Is there anything else that I use? I use Libsyn for my host right now. Libsyn's been very good to me, and it is. I'm about to join a podcast network, which has advantages, and I'll move over to, I don't know, some other platform that they use for hosting, but that's okay. Oh yeah. So then the flip side then, all right, the rest of it is the actual, okay, once you have your podcast produced, then it's the production distribution, right? So the distribution is taken care of by Libsyn, but I use pod pages for my podcast homepage.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I have a pod page. I love it. Great CMS, beautiful system. And it has newsletter with it. So, I can take advantage of the newsletter functionality. So if you go to trendingcommunicator.com, that's the website for the podcast. You never have to go there because you can listen on, iTunes or Spotify or wherever, whatever you use. But if you want to go to the actual podcast homepage, that's where it is. That's where the transcripts are. That's Podpage. Libsyn automatically exports every episode to Podpage. They're integrated. to make the show notes is a little I'm very picky about my show notes, and I do very extensive show notes. So partly because the SEO is important, you want to have a good content in your show notes because it's good for SEO, but also because and for search within the podcast platforms. But also, it's another thing that I just got used to is I keep doing it. But with AI, I've tried a lot of tools. I've played with a lot, and I'm now in a good place, I think. So I upload the MP3 to a tool called FlowSend, flowsend.ai. Very reasonable platform. FlowSend, it then generates a transcript, and then you click a button and it creates the content that I need for my show notes. And I've set it up.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
How much do you pay for FlowSend?
Yeah. Something like $9.99 a month.
Okay.
I mean,
in the reason I'm asking,
it's not bad.
The reason I'm asking this question is, I don't know if you've heard of lifetime deals.
Lifetime deals?
Yeah.
With
with
what?
It's a concept where softwares that are coming up, right? You get to pay for you buy the software for life. But then what they will
BuzzSumo does that.
Yeah, AppSumo, yeah. I don't know if you heard of
AppSumo, yeah. Cast Magic too, yeah.
Yeah.
So
they're on the lifetime deal now.
Well, Cast Magic I just haven't used it, and I know it's a great platform. It's just a competitor, I think, with FlowSend, and FlowSend's a little different. It's very simplified, and I know the founder, right?
Okay.
I met the founder of FlowSend. It's like a startup, and I met them at a conference, and he's like, "Just please try it out." So, so I do love I love it. It does exactly what I need it to do.
Okay.
And if I need additional functionality, then maybe I'll look at Cast Magic or something. I tried Capsho in the past, and Capsho was one of the first platforms that just turned your audio file into your notes content. And at first it was great, but then they jacked the price up to like $100 a month, and I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So, but FlowSend is fantastic, and it's all run off of OpenAI's API, and you can customize and set up the show notes and modules the way you want. So I do love that. That's FlowSend. I also use, those like meeting recording AI like Otter, or like transcript for like Otter Phantom, or Fireflies, and Phantom, right? I like Fireflies AI. I use it for my meetings, right? I mean, I have a subscription for a completely different purpose. But then I realized, wait, if I drop the MP3 of the podcast into Fireflies, I'll get some interesting stuff. So Fireflies does a really great job of like different types of reports, right, about the content. So now, and this is completely unnecessary, by the way, nobody ever has to go this far. You can do fine with just Cast Magic or something, but I like to have some fun. So I add in my show notes, I'll have the core show notes. I'll have like, notable quotes, a little bit about each of the me and the guest. And then I pull in a list of like takeaways or like key takeaways, key bullet points from the episode that I use from Fireflies. I like the way Fireflies does that. So I cut and paste that in. And, so I use Fireflies for that too. And Fireflies does a good job with the transcripts anyway. So I just use that as my transcript creator, and that's it. And then I use Canva for the episode art. It's a lot of stuff when you think about it, right? Now that you're making me talk about it, it's a lot. So I use Canva to do the episode artwork, but that's already templated. It's very simple. It takes me it takes me 35 seconds to do new episode artwork. And I use Descript now to do audiograms.
Oh yeah. I love their template.
Like clips.
Yeah.
I've built a template out, and that's it. No problem. And then is there anything? And that's it. I think that's it. I think that's everything. I want wisdom. I want the transcript of this episode because I'm going to need to put that in a list.
Okay. That's
one more. There's one more. I used actually for my current podcast. It has like right now I have a little bit of music at the beginning, and I grabbed that from some music library somewhere. But next time I decide to upgrade or change things around, I'm just going to generate my own song from
Suno.
Suno.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
I love Suno. So that's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
that's true. Now that you mention it, I'm thinking of some crazy theme songs I could make for my podcast. Oh
Oh,
my,
for
oh
sure.
my. Wow.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I think,
Have you used Suno?
yeah,
Have you played around
yeah,
with
I've
it a
played
little
around
bit?
with it. They have a
It's
feature
so
now.
good.
You can use your voice to make a song. And I did one where I was like,
Man,
dude, I was like, is this me singing? I was like, I'm a
you're
genius.
kidding.
I'm talented.
What is it with 11 Labs or do you just like drop it? You just record your voice?
You sing the song and then you just like sing the song and then upload the recording. And then it's
Oh,
going to like, work on the stuff and then create something for you.
you're kidding. I'm okay. I got to try it now
Yeah.
because I use 11 Labs for other things. Like I have my voice cloned in 11 Labs for just various stuff, and 11 Labs does a great job with your voice. So if I, if whenever I decide to write a book, I'll use 11
For
Labs
the
to do the
audiobook. Yeah.
audio book, for
Yeah.
example, right? But oh man, that's I'm gonna have to try that out now. See, I learned something from you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I've learned, I always learn something.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
I think
think
that's everything.
well, probably
Hmm.
the for me now is I'm trying to be intentional about I want to see like the cost that goes into the production of the podcast.
Yeah,
Understand? Even if
yeah.
whether or
So
not I'm making money or not, I want to see, okay, this is the
yeah,
amount, this is what I'm spending. Because sometimes you might
yeah.
end up, how do I put that? Every once in a while, I try to review the tools and say, okay, do I really need these tools? Or is there a better way to
Hmm.
do this? Right? Because now
Yeah.
right now we're juggling about 5 to 7 tools. If I could cut it down to 3, that would be nice because it reduces the time of moving
Hmm.
from one tool to the other. And I
Yeah.
don't know if Lucent will have this feature. Sorry. But
Okay.
I think Cast
Sorry.
Magic they added the connection with API.
Yes, they have. I've heard that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. For me,
but then you have to pay for Zapier.
yeah, but yeah, I think it's
Hmm.
you have free or 100. I spoke with the founder of Cast Magic. I told them that they should
Hmm.
please put something like webhook or integration with
Hmm.
make.com. I think make.com you have up to 1,000 tasks that you can use compared to Zapier
Yeah.
that's like 100.
Hmm.
So it will be really nice because now I bought the lifetime deal. So which means every month I get I think access to about 40 hours of transcription and all that, and
Oh, that's great.
I don't get to pay for the lifetime of the
Ah,
software. That's for me, it's
you're
really, really
lucky.
amazing. I'm looking to save money.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you want to, if I add it all up, right? Some of those tools that I talk about, I use for other things. Like
Yeah,
and my business, like I have my own consultancy
yeah.
now. Like I used to, I had just big corporate jobs for a long time. Since last June, I've been on my own, so I'm paying more attention to how much money I'm spending. But at the same time, some of those tools are used for business. So I kind of think of them a little bit differently. But so like for example, Audition is part of the Adobe Creative Cloud. That I need for business. So I don't really include Audition in my monthly costs. But FlowSend is one thing, and honestly, I don't know how much I'm paying for that because I got in like as a test, as a
Yeah,
beta tester
beta
with
tester.
with my friends. So I don't know if I'm paying. But I'll talk to Mike and see if I'm paying him
Yeah.
anything. But it's like if I am, it's very little. And so like I'm basically grandfathered in under a very very low cost structure. But the real costs are like the Squadcast is I don't know $200 and something per year, right? So I buy yearly
And
for a
that
certain
gives you
amount of
access to
time.
this script, right?
That's right. So Descript is part of that. So I upgrade the membership, and it's like $200 or $300 a year, and I forget the exact month, the exact amount for the level that I have, like Creator or something like this. Then Libsyn is $20 a month, right, for hosting. But when I join the podcast network, that cost goes away. So I'm not going to have to pay that anymore. But so $20 a month for Libsyn. Let's just say $10 a month for for FlowSend. If we average it out, let's just say $20 or $30 a month for Squadcast and Descript, right? So we're already talking about $50 a month. right? When I think about it, and the you know that's the main costs I think for software, because like Fireflies is a yearly thing, and that's again for my business, so I don't consider that, and you don't need that, so it's fine. And Canva, I guess, is I also do that for my business, but it's all like $20. Everything's $20 a month,
Yeah, yeah.
right? When you think about it.
And Canva has a suite of tools that, especially if you're working on the
Mm-hmm.
online, it's not just the podcast. You basically,
Mm-hmm.
like for me, my Canva subscription, I use it for like almost everything. My YouTube, my
Everything.
podcast, like all my design stuff
Yep.
is on Canva. So yeah, that for me,
Yeah.
it's not really, I don't really count that as a big
Yeah.
cost because I get the
Yeah. But
money's worth.
yeah. But I would say that if you're talking to somebody who wants to get into podcasting, you can do it cheaply. You can get a cheap
Yeah,
mic.
I mean,
You can,
most of
as
the
long as
softwares,
as
they
long as
have
it's a dynamic
pre-plans.
mic. Yeah, and there are free plans for a lot, or there's free versions of software, or
Yeah,
there's different, there's different tools that especially if you're all by yourself and you don't have to worry about, you know, integrating with somebody else's software or whatever. Just get what you can for cheap. Do what you can. I mean, there's open source stuff out there. The open source version of Audition. What's it called again? It's called I don't know. And most people, I don't even know if people need it anymore, because with Descript you can do everything. Oh
is it
gosh,
Audacity?
I just totally forgot what it is. What's that?
Is it Audacity?
Audacity. It's Audacity. Yes, Audacity that's free. There's a lot out there, but I think with an initial investment, I think the best cheap mic, the lowest you should probably go on a microphone is probably around $30 or $40 for what's that called? Is this not a Samsung? It's a
Samsung
Samsung.
Q2U.
That's it, the Q2U. I think that's the cheapest, best mic there
Yeah,
is, and it's a great mic. It's a great, great mic. So range from there to, you know, $300, $400 if you're crazy.
yeah,
But I like, so your startup cost is just that, and the headphones, which again you can use anything, but you don't have to invest a lot. Mine were $75
yeah,
because I wanted comfort. But if you don't want comfort, $25. You can get a decent pair of headphones.
yeah,
So you can start a podcast for very little, and it's a great way to get yourself out there,
yeah. Thank
I
you
think.
so much for sharing
Yeah,
us the behind the scenes of your podcast. I
my pleasure. It's fun.
Yeah,
It's fun.
just quickly, and
Hmm.
I just is a kind of like a rapid fire question because we're kind of like
Hmm.
out of time now. Is your podcast
Sure, sure.
monetized?
Sorry.
Do you make money from your podcast?
No, I
Okay,
do not.
okay. Does it fall into your
Mhm.
consulting work or any of those?
Well, it's starting to.
Okay,
So it is becoming a lead. It's becoming a lead magnet for my consulting business, because that's the secret to the personal brand. It's not like a secret, but the personal brand is 100% aligned with my podcast brand, with my business brand. So, you know, it's all about communications, trending communicator, inquisitive communications, all connected. So, and you see, if you can see my little mug up there, the little circly guy,
yeah,
I have that logo everywhere. It's just, I mean, I used AI to make that. It's not like special, but it's everywhere. So like there's a uniformity. So I maintain consistency. I'm only starting, like, it takes a while. People tell you 18 months before you start to see any real benefit from building your personal brand with content. It's been about 18 months. It's almost 2 years.
yeah,
And I've gotten clients from my podcast. I have gotten more inquiries, partnerships, free stuff. So it's starting to build, but the podcast stuff is not monetized.
yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Quickly, I just want to ask you this last question, and then we'll round up because
Hmm.
I'm crossing the time allocated for
Okay.
this
Sorry, man.
podcast. I should be apologizing to you, not the other way, because I'm taking your time. Um, when you started your podcast, right, and the expectations you went deeply on that and all that, and it's going
Yeah.
5 years into the podcast now. How is the podcast
Yeah.
doing with that goal and purpose? How is it doing?
You mean metrics, the
No,
metrics and
not
the
just no.
downloads and all that kind of
If you
stuff?
want to
No.
share metrics,
Oh,
that would be nice. But I mean, you
I
had
don't even know 'em.
specific reasons and intentions for starting the podcast, right?
Yep.
So how
Yep.
is this podcast doing regarding those intentions? If your intentions were your metrics,
I think
then you probably would have to be sharing metrics. But if it's not metrics, if it was like, oh, I just wanted
not.
to talk to
Yeah,
people, then that would
that's
be the
right.
purpose. So
Yeah.
back to the
So
purpose.
on the like, yeah, metrics. I don't even know what to look at.
Ooh.
Honestly, they're so messy. Like I have downloads and streams, but they're not really trustworthy. And frankly, that's not the most important thing to me, because what I want to, the way that I'm gauging success of my podcast is if people in my industry have told me they've heard of it or asked me to be on the show. So the quality of people who come to me to be on the show has gone up. It's always been good, but I'm getting more and more brilliant pitches. So that's one success indicator. I'm also getting, inquiries about, related to the podcast. I'm seeing it quoted in places. So there's these really good kind of indicators that it's making it. And then I was approached a week ago by a woman who I know. She's a communications professional, and she wants to be on podcasts. And she went to an agent to help her identify podcasts. And she showed me this list, and she pointed to my podcast.
Wow.
It's like, Dan, your podcast is number 2 in PR.
Wow.
I'm like, who said that? Where'd that happen? Nobody tells me. I don't know. But according to their list, whoever that was, this is number 2 PR podcast. I'll take it. If that's true, wonderful. I don't know if it's true, but so these other indicators of success. Now, to answer the question though, what I was looking for from the podcast originally is exactly what I'm still getting from it. I have great conversations with people that I admire and I like. I won't do a show cold. I need to have a kind of like, I like to meet with somebody for, 15, 20 minutes first, just to get to know them. And if I don't have chemistry with the person, I'll figure out a way not to have them on the show. Never happened, by the way. It's never happened. I've never had to refuse somebody for that reason.
Yeah.
But I like to be warm. Like I like to have a conversation going. So I want to have great conversations, great people. I want to look at the clock at the end of the show and go, "Oh my God, it's been an hour. I cannot believe it." Like if that happens, I'm in heaven. And then when I post it out there and people listen to it and they tell me, "Oh my God, Dan, I had to carry around a notebook." That's fantastic. I love that. I love people like coming to me and saying that guest that you had on last week, oh my God, what a genius. I'm like, yeah, what about the host? No, the guest. But every good guest brings up my brand and my reputation too. So
Yeah.
all those things are happening, and it's my creative avenue. I love it.
Yeah, no, that's really, really, really great. And I noticed that you joining the podcast network. Probably maybe 6 months from now or 8 months from now, I'd love to have you back on the show and talk to and
Yeah,
have a
we could talk
conversation
about it.
about how the network and how everything is going, how that's
Hmm.
affected your brand and all that. Hopefully, it's
Yeah,
positive effects, but we'll get to talk
yeah.
about
It's
it.
a small network. It's focused on market. It's the Marketing Podcast Network, and run by a guy named Jason Falls, fantastic podcaster. And it's like a sharing community, right? And I will have to put some sort of ads in my show, and not I could do it dynamically, or I could put it at the end or at the beginning, wherever I want to.
Yeah.
So I'll, if I tack it onto the end, perfect. But that's fine. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And all that's good. So
Uh,
I'm having a great time.
Thank you so much. How time flies. I have to like keep pumping the brake before
Sorry.
we run into 2 hours, and I'm like, oh, what happened? Well, you're supposed to be the host. You're supposed to be the one managing the time. I was like, I just you should have told me that, so we've passed the time. Okay. Um. Quickly, what's an advice you have for people who are thinking of starting a podcast, who are complicating it, cooking up excuses for the reasons why they can't start a podcast or why they are not yet ready to start a podcast?
I'll tell you exactly what Cliff Ravenscraft told me. What's stopping you? All you need is a microphone Like we talked about the low level investment. You don't even need that. If you really want to, you just pick up your phone and start talking into the phone and record it that way. You might not get a lot of listeners, but you can try, right? And there's a lot of free services to do it. You do it all for free if you really want to do it. But there's nothing stopping you except a concept. Just make sure the only advice I'd have is make sure you have a destination for each show. Like make sure like when you start a conversation, you're going to end somewhere, and you may not end where you wanted to, but you're going in a direction.
Yeah.
So and you gain skill over time being an interviewer. If you're doing an interview podcast, if you just feel like talking yourself and do a solo podcast, go for it. Just like go talk, right? Don't worry about ums and ahs and all those things. First of all, most AI can edit that out now anyway. But second of all, most people don't care. They don't care. They like natural conversation. So go for it. If you need to, just collect newsletter articles or news articles every week to give you things to talk about if you can't figure out something to talk about. But the main thing is just close your eyes, turn a mic on and start talking. Yeah. That's the best thing to do.
Thank you so much, Dan. Where can listeners learn more about what you do and your podcast?
Sure. Well, the podcast is the Trending Communicator. That's trendingcommunicator.com, or it's available wherever you listen to podcasts. I mean, just look for Dan Nestle. That's Nestle, or the Trending Communicator. You'll find me. LinkedIn. I live on LinkedIn. So just look for me on LinkedIn. Again, it's Nestle, like Nestle. It looks like chocolate, but it sounds like wrestle. So Dan Nestle. I'm on my business is called Inquisitive Communications. That's b-inquisitive.com. That's b-inquisitive.com. And I do, communications consulting, AI, a lot of work with AI enablement, AI content creation. Turn your podcast into like a blog, into a winning blog and a newsletter. That kind of stuff is like I do that 5 times in the morning. So those are the main things. Again, LinkedIn, my podcast, and certainly my business page. Just Google me. I'm out there for everyone to see.
Thank you so much, Dan, for coming on the podcast. Mm-hmm. I had a great 60 minutes chatting with you, and it's been a wonderful conversation.
You're fantastic. You're fantastic, man. Yeah. I mean, I gotta say, like, you're just easygoing and a good. Like I go out of control. I know that I talk too much, but but you make it easy.
I mean, you're the star of the show. I'm just here to make you feel at home. That's why I'm here.
It worked.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I can't wait. Yeah. This has been a blast. This has been a blast.
That's it for today's episode of my podcast story. I am Wisdom Okonkwo, and I hope this conversation sparked new ideas and gave you a deeper look into the heart of podcasting. If you've loved this episode, consider supporting the show by buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/wisdomhq. Every bit helps keep the stories going. And hey, don't forget to follow, rate, and share this podcast with another podcaster or creator who would find it helpful. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you in the next episode.